All right, I want to start by giving all glory, honor, and praise to Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahushai, Bahashim, Rakakwadash. Double honor to the elders and the apostles, great millstone. Salutations to the elect out there. All right, I'm going to do a quick quick lesson going into this video. It says signs of Israelite slaves in Egypt, the Exodus. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start in Exodus 1 and 1, and then I'm going to play, some of the video. All right, this is Exodus 1 and 1. It says, now these are the names of the children of Israel which came into Egypt. Every man and his household came with Jacob. You see, because Jacob, he was invited to come to Egypt by his son Joseph. You see, and they dwelt in, I think, Goshen. Let's go get a precept. All right, here we go. Genesis 45, verse 9. It says, hasten ye, this is Joseph. He said, hasten ye and go unto my father and say unto him, thus said thy son Joseph, God hath made me Lord of all Egypt. Come down unto me and tarry not. Verse 10, and thou shalt dwell in the land of Goshen, and thy shall be near unto me, thou and thy children and thy children's children, and thy children's children, and thy flocks and thy herd, and all that thou hast. You see. Verse 11, and he says, and there I will nourish thee, for yet there are 5 years of famine, lest thou and thy household and all that thou hast, and all that thou hast come to poverty. So Jacob came into Gershom at the request of Joseph. All right, let's go back to Exodus. Let's go back to Exodus 1. Exodus 1. All right. All right, verse 2. It says, these are the sons of Jacob. All right. Let's see. Reuben, Simeon, Levi, Judah, Issachar, Zebulun, Benjamin, Dan, Naphtali, Gad, and Asher. It says, and all the souls that came out of the loins of Jacob were 70 souls, for Joseph was already in Egypt. And Joseph died, and all his brethren, and all that generation. You see? And the children of Israel were fruitful and exceeding, and increased abundantly, and multiplied, and waxed exceedingly mighty, and the land was filled with them. Verse 8, now there arose a new king over Egypt, which knew not Joseph. All right, let's play some of the video, and then we'll go from there.
A new Pharaoh arises, and he doesn't remember Joseph. He enslaves the people because they're becoming too numerous and becoming a threat. So he puts them to work and embitters their lives, building store cities of Pithom and Ramses, and makes them create bricks out of mud and straw.
Now notice how he said that the Israelites created bricks and straw. Let's go back and listen.
A new Pharaoh arises, and he doesn't remember Joseph. He enslaves the people because they're becoming too numerous and becoming...
Which he's talking about the Israelites, which I just read, or which I'm going to continue to read. As a matter of fact, let's get there before we continue. All right, let's continue in the verse 9. It says, and he said unto his people, behold, the children of Israel are more and mightier than we. He says, come and let us deal wisely with them, lest they multiply, and it come to pass that when there falleth out any war, you see that? They join also unto our enemies and fight against us, and so get them up out of the land. So they were worried that the children of Israel would join forces with their enemies and they'll be overcome. All right, verse 11. Therefore they did set over them taskmasters to afflict them with their burdens, and they built for Pharaoh treasure cities, Pithom and Ramses, which he stated. Verse 12. But the more they afflict them, the more they multiplied and grew. You see, the Israelites grew, and they were grieved because of the children of Israel, you see. All right, let's continue the video.
So he puts them to work and embitters their lives, building store cities of Pithom and Ramses, and makes them create bricks out of mud
Makes the Israelite create bricks, you see.
and straw.
It was intriguing to see this type of construction in different parts of Egypt. Were any of these bricks molded by the hands of Israelite slaves? However, Mansour was quick to remind me that these types of mud bricks are present throughout Egypt's history and don't prove any connection to the Israelites.
Well, that doesn't mean that they don't prove any connection to the Israelites, because the Israelites were making those type of bricks. You see, they were in hard bondage. Let's continue to read. All right, this is verse 13. It says, "And the Egyptians made the children of Israel serve with rigor under extreme conditions." You see, verse 14, "And they made their lives bitter with hard bondage, and the mortar and in brick." You see, it says, "And in mortar and in brick." Verse 14, "And in all manner of service in the field, all their service wherein they made them serve was with rigor." You see, so he said there's no connection, but that's a lie, because the scriptures is the connection. It mentions that they served the Pharaoh in mortar and in brick. You see.
In his search for evidence that fits the idea of Israelite slavery, Professor James Hoffmeyer focuses on the first half of the New Kingdom because he favors a Ramesses Exodus date. There he finds a very interesting set of evidence. It states in the biblical story that
Yeah, because before the Israelites came into Egypt, I'm pretty sure that they were making bricks like that. But that doesn't mean that there's no connection with the Israelites and the bricks that they were making when they were put in slavery, when they went into hardcore bondage. You see, because it's all in the scriptures.
the Hebrews were supposed to make bricks from mud and straw. Is there any evidence of that?
We have two lines of evidence that this practice referred to in Exodus chapter 1 and Exodus chapter 5.
Now they're speaking of evidence.
Really was the sort of thing going on. We have the depiction in the tomb of Rechmire. He was a vizier or prime minister under Thutmose III in the 15th century. And there we can see POWs, both Semites from Canaan and Syria, working alongside prisoners of war from Nubia, black Africans. And there they are making bricks, overseen by Egyptian taskmasters with sticks. And so it's very clear that this was the treatment of prisoners of war. And we see these foreigners making bricks in southern Egypt for a building project at Karnak Temple.
But didn't he just say that there were no connection? Let's go back.
To remind me that were any of these bricks molded by the hands of Israelite slaves? However, Mansour was quick to remind me that these types of mud bricks are present throughout Egypt's history and don't prove any connection to the Israelites.
Yeah, but the scriptures, they speak differently. The Israelites were in hardcore bondage making those bricks because they made them serve in making, things, what in brick and in mortar, like it says in verse 14. You see, they provided the Pharaoh with service in brick and in mortar. You see, it says, "And they made their lives bitter with hard bondage in brick and in mortar and in all service of the field. All their service wherein they made them serve was with rigor." So yeah, that's the connection.
In his search for evidence that fits the idea of Israelite slavery, Professor James Hoffmeyer focuses on the first half of the New Kingdom because he...
But to say they have no connection with making those type of bricks is foolishness, because they were slaves in Egypt. You see.
Chapter 1 and Exodus chapter 5 really was the sort of thing going on. We have the depiction in the tomb of Rechmireh. He was a vizier or prime minister under Thutmose III in the 15th century.
I'm going to end the lesson here, but yeah, there were signs of Israelite slaves in Egypt because we were put in slavery after Joseph died, which there arose a king which knew not Joseph, and we were made to serve in those type of hard labors. You see, but what Esau does is he tries to go deeper, but his tongue falls upon itself. You see, which he's really a fool. He doesn't even know it. All right, I'll end the lesson here. All praises to Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shabbat Shem Kakadash. Shalom.